Welcome back. The teams have consulted their coaches, ready to move into the next two rounds that are to come. Ready to move into round 3, the rapid fire round. Both the teams will receive a span of 3 minutes to present their arguments in a gist. This would be an intense round. We look forward for exciting debate, and we're ready to present the chance to both the proposition and the opposition to battle it out.
The opposition stated that India should not be given a permanent seat on the Security Council because they did not sign the nuclear proliferation treaty. But we believe that we can use that as a condition. We could tell India, we will give you a seat in the United Nations Security Council if you sign the treaty. If you sign the non-proliferation treaty, you will be given a seat, and we can use it to our advantage, can't we?
My proposition member said that India should be included in this UNSC, but my idea is that India should not be included in this because we have already mentioned the reasons for it. And we can see that they didn't even participate in the Commonwealth that was held in Sri Lanka. Why couldn't they participate in this? And we know that they have the world's third largest active force and is a nuclear weapon state. I have already mentioned it before. With all this, why do they need to include India to UNSC?
Honourable Ma'am, you are talking about whether we should increase the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council on a viewpoint of Sri Lanka. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 193 other countries in the world. So we should look at this at a very international level, and that is why we believe that India deserves a seat in the United Nations Security Council. Thank you.
He is talking on India. Then why didn't they take India as a permanent member? They could take India as a permanent member. Why didn't they take? If they insist to take India as a permanent member, so why didn't they take India as a permanent member?
Yes, sir, but that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to give India a permanent seat because now they have reached the economical and military stability.
Yes, but India has many raised ideas. My brother, India has many raised ideas. Do you expect that India is going to sit in the permanent membership?
Honourable ladies and gentlemen, India has requested for a permanent membership on the United Nations Security Council, and also not only India, we talked about Brazil, Germany, and Japan, all these other countries. And ladies and gentlemen, what happens to the Muslim population in this world, which is not being properly represented in the United Nations Security Council, whom on the other hand have a lot of issues at the moment. And we believe that by bringing a Muslim nation into the veto power, that we could have most of these issues settled. Thank you.
My dear brother was talking about Brazil. How can we take Brazil to UNSC? Because it has a lot of underworld works have been done in Brazil. What do you think about it?
Ma'am, there are underworld issues occurring in almost every single country in the world. But we see that the government isn't responsible for this. In fact, we see that the Brazilian government is trying to mitigate this issue. So why is the government being held responsible for the work of the criminals within that country?
If you insist to increase the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, they could. The United Nations Security Council understands the situation if some more powers increases to this United Nations Security Council. So the veto power increases. By this veto power, the misusing is increase some more. So it's not good to increase.
Yes, sir, but when the number of members increase, the veto power does not increase. The veto power has to be shared.
Yes, sir, I agree with that the veto power should be shared. But still, when getting back to India, India has been selected to UNSC 7 times, but still they are not a permanent member of the UNSC. What do you think about it?
Honourable ladies and gentlemen, talking about the stalemate policy, where they have talked about where there will be more vetoes, there will be more deadlock. So, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to bring out the fact that United Nations Security Council makes very important decisions, and also being one of the main goals of the United Nations to be harmonize the actions of the nations. We believe by bringing in more nations, the regional interest is preserved, the regional representation is preserved. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Can you remember, my lads, there was a nation called League of Nations that at that time there were 30 permanent members. The massive failure for the League of Nations because there was 30 permanent members and they could not prevent the World War II. Can you tell about that?
Ladies and gentlemen, we see that the League of Nations existed over 60 years ago, and this is a huge issue that we see on side opposition today. Almost all of their arguments, including the League of Nations, including the fact that Japan was bombed by the United States of America, the fact that Hitler ruled Germany, they are all based upon things that happened 60 years ago. Why can't the opposition live in the present?
We just gave an example. So, and why are you talking on India only? If we take Syria, they are, the United Nations Security Council is formed as a peacekeeping mission. But are they maintaining peace in the world? The conflict on Syria is the deadliest of the Arab Spring movement. So 70,000 of people were killed in Syria, and 4,000 from that 4,000 were children. So is that a loss for our country, for our world? And if we see USA sends money to Russia. USA doesn't send equipment to Syria directly. They send Russia money, and Russia converted them to equipment and sent to Syria. So is this correct? Is this peacekeeping, my dear opponents?
Yes, sir. But Syria is at a very low economical status. What do you say about this?
Ladies and gentlemen, according to opposition, we would disagree with the opposition. They just take the world as the way they want.
Ready to present both the teams a last and final chance to state their arguments, to provide us with a recap of what they have been saying within the past 3 rounds. Let me now invite our speaker from the opposition.
As my dear members of the opponent team, my team said that the regional representation should be increased. It should not be increased because there are enough. The 5 permanent members are enough in the 5 permanent seats, because there are already 2 countries, that is China, Russia, to represent the eastern side. Sorry, the Asian countries. That is to aid Sri Lanka, as well as Indian southern Asian countries, as well as there are the other 4 countries like France, Britain, UK and USA to support the USA countries, that is support the western countries. So they said about the we shouldn't take the countries like Japan, Brazil, India, South Africa to the permanent group, because they have caused the stability will be lost in the arena as the veto power will increase, because the veto power is it is used as a power displaying tool in the political arena. As well as the member of our team said, the misuse of veto power, massive failure of the UNSC power to prevent the humanitarian disasters in Rwanda and Darfur in 1990 and 2004. That has become massive failure of the power of veto. So we can remember the failure of League of Nations in 1920. That is, because of the veto power shared among all the members, all the countries, that was not properly, because the members were in favor of developing their countries using the veto power, giving them the opportunity of handling a tool. While Germany and Japan are responsible of starting the World War II. Brazil, drug trafficking, they are involved in drug trafficking, as well as India and USA both possess nuclear, so they are surely not to be taken to the permanent seat. As well as our permanent member, the Shalini, said that.
Let me now invite the final speaker for the debate from the proposition to present their closing statement.
Learned members of the panel, what have we seen today? We have seen an opposing team that lives in the past and have very narrow-minded arguments today. What have we brought out today? We have brought out a very broad sense of democracy and of how the capability of countries is important in representing themselves in the United Nations Security Council. We have brought out how when the United Nations Security Council was formed, that the P5 countries were the most powerful in military-wise and also economy-wise. And now, since the world has changed, there are more countries like India, Brazil and Germany, that are also powerful countries, that are also key players in the democratic world, and therefore they as key players also should be allowed to be in the Security Council. And then about the whole democracy thing we brought out, where representation of these countries is necessary because the United Nations Security Council does not have balanced representation in their mandate, and therefore we need all these countries, and therefore we see that when we have all these countries, there will not be any issues in the future. Now, what have the opposing team brought out here? One of their main arguments was that these countries that we have talked about have certain issues. They have talked about how India is racist, they have talked about how Japan was destroyed in the World War, and they have talked about how Germany was a bad country. And then they have talked about how too many vetoes will spoil a resolution. Too many vetoes, we have shown, will not spoil it, because when there are a lot of people trying to find something wrong in something, the end product is a more refined product, and therefore the resolution that we get through so many countries' ideologies is a more refined resolution, a more balanced resolution than what we get today. So therefore we believe that the proposing team case stands today. Thank you.